Hi everyone. So for Module 3, I will be exploring Kolb's theory of experiential learning. So this week I decided to sort of take a different approach as to how I looked at this theory. And since my population is male athletes, well, Caucasian male athletes to be more specific, I decided to look at a research study as well as focus on two articles. The two articles that I focused on essentially were about academic scandals involving college athletes at different universities. The first university I looked at was the scandal at UNC, and the second one was at Florida State. By looking at these two articles, which are pretty much similar in regarding their scandals, essentially tutors and counselors and academic advisors were basically giving athletes special arrangements when it came to classes, as well as taking their tests, um, doing their assignments, etc. And essentially, the athletes weren't learning anything in these classes. They were just pretty much in them and getting grades that they didn't necessarily do any work to do. When you think about an athlete, you sort of think about his or her learning style and how essentially they're used to learning and doing things with their hands. And most would consider that kinesthetic learning. And if you sort of relate that back to Kolb's theory, you can sort of see that um, if professors sort of paid attention to athletes in a special way and just sort of realized that their learning style was more directly related to the CE learning style, um, they would see their instructors as coaches and helpers, which essentially they're used to because they have coaches. And they essentially would do better in aspects that involved playing games, role playing, as well as peer discussion and feedback. And so if you relate that to these studies and these scandals and how they weren't doing well in these classes, it's because they weren't given the opportunity to basically work in a learning style that worked best for them. I also looked at a study done by two researchers that focused on how student athletes interacted when it came to online learning classes and how their attitudes basically portrayed it. Basically, the study looked at 187 college student athletes and found that while students were indifferent to their ability to take these online courses, they typically were more likely to drop out of these courses. And if you go back to the theory and how you would see that typically these courses fall under the RO or AE due to the nature. And this doesn't work for athletes because it basically focuses on small group discussions as well as lectures. And the athlete's attention cannot be kept for that long, especially when it comes to listening to somebody talk about something over and over or putting them in small group discussions to discuss what they're going on because they're, like I said previously, they're used to focusing and doing work with their hands. And courses such as online courses essentially just require you to potentially do some group discussions, but mostly just read some theories or read a topic on a certain thing and then sort of relate that back to what you're doing, which doesn't work for athletes because they're used to being hands-on learners. So I hope that these two type of applied learning experiences sort of help you better understand Kolb's theory of experiential learning. And I will see you all next week.